What is going on, everybody? BobbyFi back with my man Eric Sheets Haber. We're doing a first look at the PGA Tour this week. We've got 1 week coming out till the PGA Championship. This is a really loaded field. Should be a fun one. Sheets. I know we haven't had a good few weeks after a couple of nice little close calls, at least in golf. But what are your sort of thoughts this week overall? Did you have anything that jumped out at you?
Yeah. So first of all, some interesting things about this week is a no cut week, which provides some interesting. It was interesting food for thought for me actually about what types of guys you might want in a no cut week as opposed to someone who's like in a cut week. I remember like you take a guy like DeChambeau who just ruined his whole freaking weekend with one hole, right? You're not, you have a little more room to take chances and to make up for that kind of thing. So I guess what you're looking for, I mean, I would imagine is guys with kind of like high standard deviation type games that can, yeah, they do run the risk of getting a couple of doubles now and then, but they're really, trying to really get a lot of birdies and eagles and things like that. So
yeah, and just to speak to that, one thing about this is that a lot of people always look, oh, this guy could finish top whatever, and that's how you look at it, because it's hard to predict eagles and things like that. But you can try, and there are guys who just put those crooked numbers up on the scorecard or whatever you call it, the circles and the squares. That I think you do want to target those guys, and you look at last week, for example, you had some guys who were finished 2 places back, like 20th place versus 7th place, and they were outscoring the guys in 7th place just because of the numbers they put up. So, maybe the Eagles or the birdie consecutive streaks or bogey free round. Anybody who who you feel like can dominate the course, even just those kind of extra points are really important, I think, on these kind of, no-cut slates.
The other thing is that there's from what I've read and from what I've gathered, you want to be good around the greens. There's not a lot of greens to work with here. So you want to be good around the greens. And if you believe in this kind of thing, you want to be good on Bermuda grass, which is I've actually seen contrarian viewpoints about how important that is. But, I'll let it break ties for me. Let's put it that way. And I actually did a little work. I have a couple of guys that I'll highlight as being kind of specialists in this type of thing, and we'll just kind of go, range by range, and as ownership kind of filters in over the next day or two, we'll maybe finalize our stuff tomorrow.
Yeah,
so the first thing I guess we'll do, and we can go 10K and above, I suppose, is my first look at this, and I actually did a little, and again I do this for my own benefit, for nobody else's. I did a little video for myself yesterday when I first looked at the salaries, and I felt as though they were kind of fair. You know what I mean? Like nothing at the top really just kind of stood out. Yeah, I mean Rahm, to be all the way up at the very top, okay, but you can't have it both ways. You can't say that, oh my God, what a tremendous play at 9,400. And then you go, oh my God, what an atrocious play! He's one of the best players in the world, so this is where he should have been the whole time. So I feel as though all 4 of these top guys, Thomas, DeChambeau, McIlroy, and Rahm, I think they deserve to be where they are. I think from a value perspective, I really honestly can't separate them too much, And I actually think that the ownership is going to be pretty spread out evenly among them also. I don't know if I'm going to be taking any big. Because what I used to do like a couple of weeks ago, last several weeks, is I would, from the top 4 or 5 guys, if I thought they were equal, I would just take the lowest owned guy and just roll with it. I don't know if there's going to be a real under-owned guy of these top 4. I think they're going to all get their, 15% or so, and just, because there's a lot of other places that you can go. So I don't know. I really don't have much of an opinion on these guys. I like them all, and I probably like all 4 of them equally.
I love it. All right. Well, I mean, I understand that's sort of what I've been going through. I actually do have some favorites. Let's pull up your screen right now and take a quick look so we can give the people a visual here of what we're talking about. So I've got my ownership is a little bit on these high-end guys. I'm definitely going heavier on Rory than I am on anybody else. It's not even close. It's my favorite play. I think I'm going to pick the guy who I still think is the best in the world. On this course, and I think that it suits him perfectly. I like him a ton. Yeah, he's expensive, so there's a bunch of other guys you could sort of, jump over to. I think I'll have about half as much Rahm as I do of Rory, maybe less. But I will have some. I'll take some shots with Bryce, but not my favorite play. I'll take some shots with JT, not my favorite play. Patrick Cantlay, not my favorite play. I think Webb Simpson's kind of interesting and might get overlooked here. And I love Xander. That's sort of down through my range. I think Xander and Rory have the highest ownership for me above that 9,800 range. And then, by the way, just right with them at 9,600 and 9,500, I love Berger and Morikawa. So I'm sort of prioritizing those four over the rest of the other guys who I kind of like. But I love Berger and Morikawa. And I think Berger, you might get low ownership here. He's won here twice. I think it's an interesting spot to take him.
We got to get on the same page here, because for like 6 weeks in a row, I said, you know what, let me just go on the first panel. We look at these guys. And you kept on going back, well, let's just do a 10K and up. And I intentionally didn't bring up any of these other guys, 9K up to 9,900, because I was trying to be what you wanted me to do, like just 10K and above. But now you're going down here and you're frying my whole brain here. Okay. But that's fine. First of all, I would like to say that all ownerships being equal, again, which my opinion different from Bobby's, I actually prefer of those. Thomas is my favorite of those top 4 or 5 that we mentioned. These other guys, Xander, I really like. I mean, especially in a no-cut event. I mean, you saw what he did a couple of weeks ago, right? He was like a +6, and then he ran with a -7 or something like that. And those are the kind of guys that you kind of want to make sure that that you don't worry too much about, right? In a no cut event.
Yeah.
I actually like Xander as my favorite in that range. And then I do like Webb a little bit. And then to get down a little bit more. I think that Fitzpatrick might end up being a little chalky. But I do like him. I guess we have to talk about these other dudes, right? The injury idiots, right? We have to talk about Koepka and Dustin Johnson, right? So they're down to 9,100, 92, 9,300. I don't think I'm gonna do it this week. I don't know. I like Tyrell Hatton a little bit more in this group. I mean, Tyrell Hatton, every time he plays, he does well. I mean, it's freaking amazing. Mm-hmm. So I like Tyrell Hatton. I like Morikawa. I think I might actually play Hovland this week. And I haven't played him since he was at 7,400, but he's proven to me that I was kind of wrong every week for not playing him. Daniel Berger, I mean, what you mentioned, I mean, he won this on this course back-to-back years, and he's been playing really well. And I certainly have no initial issues with that.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly one way I'm looking of going. And I mean, so Berger, but then I love Brooks. I'm completely fine with going right back to him here. We're getting ready for the PGA Championship. He's always better in these kinds of tough things. I know he struggled lately. He still ended up like putting up some good he'd have a good 9-hole stretch and then a really bad 4-hole stretch, and it just was consistently like that. Another guy who can put up a really, a good number. I really like him. He's high on my list this week, and I don't think I like him quite as much as Schauffele, a little bit higher, but I think he's right behind him for me, and right there with Berger as a guy who I really like who could win the tournament in this 9K range. I'm not as interested in the Finau Fitzpatrick guys, and then we can get into the 8Ks.
Okay, going down a little bit. I think that I am going to have interest in Jason Day at 8,200.
Wow. Okay, so what about the upper 8Ks, though, first of all?
Oh, so right. So the upper 8Ks, I saw actually an initial ownership run on one of the sites, which was very surprising to me. There's no way I'm playing this guy as chalk, but I saw like some 25% possible ownership on Patrick Reed. If that's the case, you can keep it. But I prefer Fleetwood. Fleetwood, again, as much as I didn't like him going into last week, because I thought people would just flock to the new guy, and I don't like guys off the long layoff. I think that was a perfect setup for him to do well this week. I think 8,700 is very, very fair, and I like him a lot. And then, again, we're going back to, you want to go back to the upper 8Ks? Hideki, I guess, is fine. But my favorite in this range is probably going to be Fleetwood.
Yeah, I love Fleetwood. I would bet on. I'm betting on him to win next week, and
Okay.
and I'm betting on him to be right there this week. I think that he's gonna. This is a great week for him. He's one of my highest owned players overall.
Okay.
So I'm very, very big on him. I'm very big also though on Hideki, I believe. I want to see where the ownership comes in on him. Now everybody jumps towards him always anyway. So I just feel like give him the 4 rounds, let him know that he's going to miss some easy putts, but he's also might make some tough ones. And if he's putting well, like he's going to crush, and he's just too cheap. So I really like those 2 guys, which is sort of means leaving out the Woodlands and the Reeds as much. Although I do have a little bit of interest in those guys. I just think I'm going to end up going with the Fleetwood Masayama in that range. And then when I drop down a little bit, I don't mind a guy like Abe Answer. I'd prefer him over Jason Day. But I don't love any of it. I would rather just skip that rest of this range and then move on to the 7Ks.
Yeah, and that's where it could get somewhat fun,
This is really fun because we've got a lot of guys who have looked really good lately and other guys who look really bad who are really cheap. So it's kind of.
I'll tell you, when I first looked at this without looking at any projections, anything else, my first look, really Monday, like a half hour after the salaries came out, I'm like, I can get Sanjay at 7,500. I mean, is that actually happening?
Yeah.
And I'm certainly not going to toss him out of my player pool after doing a little research.
No.
So he's fine. But the guys that I'm kind of like, Casey at 7,800. I mean, that seems pretty cool. You want a guy again who I'm not worried about missing the cut now is Mark Leashman.
Yeah.
At 7,700, he can be all over the place. Kuchar just on price at 7,600. I mean, this is a pretty cool freaking range. I even had some interest in Sergio up to 8K. I mean, this is some good stuff, and it's so funny. Once you get down just below this, it kind of drops off for me a little bit. So I didn't get to Kevin Na, but you can talk me into him. But I was looking into Henrik Stenson. I mean, these are a lot of guys that I think have good chances. So I'm going to look for ownership and see which of these guys come in low owned. But I would say Leashman would be a guy that has done nothing for anybody recently, who I'm definitely going to probably play for sure.
Yeah, so I'm skipping a lot of the 8 range outside of the very top of the 8 range, partially so I can go down here and play these guys because I really like Paul Casey. I think he's just like a solid. It's weird to say safe because we don't have cut stuff this week, but I just feel very strong about him at 7,800. I think he suits the course well, and I feel like he's going to be a guy definitely in around the top 20. I really do. I really feel good about him. So I've got a lot of him. I prefer Stenson to the other guys. Stenson and Im, excuse me. I think that Stenson, it's a weird thing. His actual math, like if you look at the odds on him to win and things like that, he's way higher than anybody else in his range. And he hasn't played in a long time, so it's a lot of variance. But you're probably not going to see ownership on him. I also think people are afraid of Sung Jae Im, although we all love him, and then people are going to see the price. So I'm sort of curious where the ownership ends up there.
Yeah.
But like you, I want to let that dictate a little bit. But I do like Poulter, Im, Stenson, Casey the most off the bat in this range. But I like a lot of them. I mean, and then when jumping down, I love Adam Hadwin at 7,200. And Danny Willett at 7,100. So I like this whole range quite a bit.
Can I ask you something? Can you play Bubba Watson at 7,100 or not?
Yeah,
really?
But it's not a Bubba. I wouldn't call this like an ideal Bubba course.
No, well, definitely not. I mean,
but at this price with his like eagle home run shot upside, like the way he plays, him and Mickelson are kind of interesting for that reason, I think.
Yeah. So let's talk about Phil. Let's talk about guys under this because.
And by the way, just so you know, I didn't mention them, but these guys are also strong plays. This is partly why the other range just doesn't interest me. Neiman, Scheffler, Corey Connors. These are not bad plays. And I just think I would rather save here and go down here so I can get the big guys up top and one of those 9-ish K guys with the 7Ks.
Well, but forget that. I mean, let's get into the fun stuff because I mean, let's get under 7K because one of my favorite plays is under here.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have to play him. If you don't play him, you're going to have to turn in your BobbyFi card. But let's just see. So guys under 7K. I'm probably going to play the Bezizin Bahut again at 6,800. Van Rooyen maybe not the greatest course for him, but he's 6,800.
Yeah.
But I heard Ches Reavie is going to be really popular. I can't imagine why. But you look down here, I will definitely play some Phil at 6,600 on a course that you want to be good around the green. But dude, freaking on at 6,500. Let's go.
Yep, I'm with you here. I'm all over it. That's my my big play down in this range. I just think that it, especially you give him the full course, you don't have to worry about the cut or anything. 6,500 is a guy who wouldn't surprise any of us if he bounced back and looked like the guy he was, and was not maybe contending to win, but certainly in the top 20, I think is a possibility. I'm willing to take that shot. I know the statistics don't like him, but I completely disagree. And he also plays well in these type of fields, even though he's had some troubles recently, partly just due to usually just having like one bad day and then a great day and it just not quite being able to level it out. But he's my favorite in this range as well. I think it's a little bit, I might end up with a little bit less of him just because there's a couple other guys I want to play. I don't mind like Snedeker on this course.
Yeah, that was the next guy I was going to bring up actually.
Yeah, I think he's interesting. I also think that Shane Lowry and Phil, I don't mind Ches Reavie, but if he's going to be high owned, I don't mind going.
Who needs it? I mean, who needs it?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of other places I could go just instead. But I do think I could see him playing well here. I just want to mention, like, if no one's gonna play Michael Thompson, I'm just gonna play him. You know what I mean? He's 7K. I have no problem going back to him. I don't expect him to shoot every round like he did last week, but why, if a guy's playing at his ultimate height, he's been playing well coming into that, should we just ignore him?
Yeah, he's one of the guys, by the way, that apparently is has his strokes gained putting or lost putting is actually better on Bermuda than on regular for him. So Thompson gets a little bit of a bump for that. I'm gonna throw a couple of others out here. The Beazenhout, he's a guy like that.
Yeah.
Patrick's a guy like that. Just these are guys that we mentioned already. But aside from the top guys, Heinrich Stenson, who's come up, he's another dude. And Phil. I mean, I'm going to end up probably playing him. And it's probably the worst time to play him, like the week before a big major, you know what I mean? Like where he's probably screwing around, you know what I mean? But I don't know, 6,600, we'll see.
I don't know. Yeah, I agree. And also, like, he's one of those guys who could have, like, he could end up finishing, like, 60th, but have, like, a top 25 score. Like, you know
what I'm into? Did they put out the pairings yet?
No, I haven't seen it yet. So
I was really into the reasoning why you played Phil, like, when you did, like, a month ago.
It worked great then. That was
because he was put in a group that was forcing him to play his best game, and he just came out freaking blazing.
Yeah, he was leading the tournament after the first two rounds. That was a wild one.
So you could play some dudes, right? I mean, you could play. I mean, if you want to, right? You could do whatever.
Back up the top, yeah. Throw Fleetwood in that lineup, and you've got three guys who can win the tournament with the nice three guys who can put up a big score. I love that. And you can mix that out a bunch of different ways because the guy's worth paying up for. But I'm going to just emphasize that I really do think I'm going to lean Rory and Fleetwood as my highest owned guys up there.
Okay.
With Casey, with Schauffele and Matsuyama and Casey just behind.
Okay.
This was good, man. I think this is a good little first look show. We did it a lot faster because we had a long baseball one today. But let's get this loaded up and then we'll fine tune it and we'll finish it up with another video tomorrow.
Sounds good, man. I will talk to you tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. Bye-bye.